So tell us who you are.
My name is Michelle Gray, and I have a son that's now 2 years old, Anderson Gray. So I never questioned vaccines. I work in the medical field, and I never thought vaccines were the end-all be-all, but I just never questioned them. I've worked with doctors since I started working. I took him.
When you say you worked with doctors, in what way?
I work more on the financial side, so I work for a large organization doing revenue management, and I've worked in like clinical studies as a research coordinator. But so when I was pregnant, I worked in an organization that required the flu shot, so I didn't question. I got my flu shot, and then my OB suggested the Tdap, so I did that, or DTaP at the time. I did that as well, no questions. And then I got so sick that I basically for a month was sleeping on the couch because I couldn't sleep. I was suffocating in my own basically phlegm, choking in the middle of the night. And I went to the doctor 3 times, I remember, asking, something's wrong. I knew something wasn't right, and they basically said, you're pregnant, it's common, your immune system is weak, and so you just have a little cough. Take some Sudafed was their solution. And I still, in the back of my mind, remember jokingly thinking, I think I have whooping cough. But I never really did the research to think, to really evaluate, maybe I really do. I just thought it was a joke. Had my son, he was healthy, and honestly, I didn't even know he got the Hep B shot. I didn't know what they were, gave him. Took him home, healthy, and at 2 months, I remember he started developing eczema, severe eczema, and I have, if you want to see a picture, it was eczema where it was in the creases of his elbows and his ankles, behind his knees. He would just, when he was little and it started developing, he couldn't scratch it. But when he got to the point where he could scratch, I just remember crying because it would bleed and you couldn't stop him. So at 2 months after he started developing that, I did start researching gut health because for some reason, I don't know what I read that made me question, maybe something was wrong with his gut. So that started to open up some doors and some questions, but I kept vaccinating. And I remember too that he started having irregular breathing at 2 months. And I don't know that it was, I guess, fear. I didn't say anything to the doctor. I just said, he's okay, nothing's gonna happen to him. But I remember I would keep him next to me. It's because I was so scared that he would stop breathing in the night. And I didn't even tell my husband. I was so frightened of it. But fortunately, he was fine. And then at 6 months, he got all his vaccines again. And it was a week, I remember, afterwards. He screamed, this high-pitched scream that I'll never forget. And he threw up everywhere. But we were traveling out of town, so I didn't take him to the doctor. And he seemed fine after that. But it's like the light still didn't come on for me. And then eczema kept getting worse. I was trying to figure out, probiotics. I started doing fish oil, which seemed to, help to some extent. But then I remember at his year vaccines, again, it was 1 week after the vaccines, he developed these high-grade fevers. It was almost 105 for 3-4 days. But at the time, I thought, well, maybe he has an ear infection because I will never forget at the visit, the doctor said, he has an ear infection, but let's go ahead and vaccinate him. But she gave us antibiotics. So, when he developed the fever, I thought, well, maybe it's the ear infection. And so I gave him the antibiotics, but we were traveling out of the country, so I didn't take him back to the doctor. And of course, being an idiot, I gave him Tylenol and I gave him, ibuprofen back and forth. But he was fine. And then I feel like God just said, you've got to wake up. He's had enough. And so when I got home from Cancun, I had an email from the documentary Bot. And I thought, what is this movie? I've never even heard of this movie. Who sent this to me? I didn't sign up for anything, I remember. I was like, I don't know. I got it. But that night, I said, well, let's watch this movie. It's a free screening. And I will never forget after that moment when I saw that movie, I thought, what the heck has been going on? And then I started thinking back about all the times that Anderson got sick. It was always after a vaccine. So after that, I couldn't stop reading. I read every package insert. I started reading every study. I read books, and that was it. He never went to the pediatrician again. And fortunately, we've used detox methods and chiropractors. I forgot to mention he developed tremors at night. I think around 2 months he started having tremors where he'd wake up shaking uncontrollably, but his eyes were open. But with the detox, they've pretty much gone away. So that's our story. And I'm crying because I'm more pissed off than anything. Pissed off that I should have known better. I feel like I should have, I'm a smart person. I should have questioned, but I didn't. And, I look back and I think my pediatrician sometimes was hesitant when she would tell us about vaccinating, but she wouldn't say anything. But when I finally did go back to see her and I told her at 15, I think he was 24 months, but he missed his 15 months vaccines. I told her I came prepared. I brought Neil Miller's 400 Critical Vaccine Studies book with me because I thought if she's going to fight me, I'm going to fight her back. And when she said, "Are you ready for his shots?" I said, "No, not today." She didn't question. She turned around and kept on typing, and I said, "Oh, well, thank you for not being a bully." And she goes, "Look, it's your choice." And I said, "Well, I brought you a book," and she flipped through it, and she opened the page on pertussis, and she goes, "Yeah, we've known that this vaccine hasn't been working for a while." I thought, why do you give it? But she just kept on doing her thing, so we haven't been back since.
Yeah, we know this vaccine hasn't been working for a while, yet she continues to give it. Well, that's an admission.
She did ask me, she said, "Do you mind me," and she's a nice lady, but it's not a pass. She said, "Do you mind me asking why you don't want to vaccinate? What is your hesitation?" I said, "Well, one, that there's no safety studies that have tested the whole entire vaccine schedule. And said that there's no liability for the pharmaceutical companies." And I said, "There's a CDC whistleblower that has admitted that there's a link." And she said, "I know, it's really sad. My brother is on the autism spectrum." And that was it. And I've invited her to see the film, and she hasn't come, but
I'm
maybe
going to
she's
give you a DVD. You're going to give to her, okay?
I'll give it to her. I think she's afraid. She's afraid of what she knows.
Well, actually, what I think she's afraid of is that if she won't. That's 80% of her income.
Yeah, she won't be able to work.
She's not I don't have any sympathy for these people. There are many other professions that you can take on.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't even know when I was asking about gut health and diets. She had no clue, and I asked her, "Have you had anyone do the AIP autoimmune protocol?" She said, "No, I don't know, but you would be my first." She had no clue anything about nutrition, so it was sad. It was sad.
Well, you just did what we all did, every single one of us, and we trusted, and we were lied to, so
yeah,
we did our best. I'm so glad that we're always doing well. Now, have you signed a bus for him?
Yes, I did.
What number
I
is
did. 2,954. It's high. It's high. Yeah.
Too many names on the bus.
And I would say my message to everyone, because I feel like I just woke up a year or so ago, and then all of a sudden there's these vaccine mandates. So being part of the Raleigh team that has helped organize these groups and help organize the screenings, I guess I just plead everyone to speak up. So many times I see that it's just a few of us moms trying so hard to wake people up, and so many people, when you talk to them, they say, "Oh, I know, I don't want them telling me to vaccinate my child either," but they won't say a word. So speak up. I mean, the time is now. If we don't do it, in a year we could be forced vaccinated. So stand up. Be brave.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank
for
you.
telling your story. You guys are going to come out and we'll be back.